we gon' activate, celebrate, exfoliate. Ooh yeah, yeah, yeah. This feels so good. Ooh yeah, yeah, yeah. I most definitely should activate, 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 activate,
Hi guys, welcome to the second edition of the Tint Talks. For those of you coming for the first time, thank you. And for those who came on the first talks, thanks for your ongoing support. Igama lami nguSivu Gunda, and I am your host for the evening. So today we'll be covering a topic on preserving and also creating safe spaces for the queer community, and I hope you guys can enjoy it. Please do give us your opinions, tell us what you think towards the end, because I'll be opening up the floor towards the end of the talk. So do enjoy, and thank you all for coming once again. Okay, so first up, we'll be having our event organizers joining me on stage. So if they could please come, do welcome them with a round of applause, please. How are you guys feeling tonight?
I'm doing good.
You look good.
Thank you, bro.
You look damn good.
What's new?
Right? Right? Andy, you good, bro?
I'm okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Coco, hi love. Thank you for actually joining us. Guys, please introduce yourselves and the pronouns that you guys identify yourselves as.
I'm Coco, and I'm here with she, her, or them, they.
Welcome, Coco.
I'm Andy, she, her, they, them, cool.
Hey, Andy.
Hey, I'm Trayvon. I'm also happy with he, she, they, whatever.
Okay, hey Trayvon. Guys, welcome. Thank you once again. Please tell us about your event and the inspiration behind it. You can go.
I run as part of the main event organizers for the Grand Ball. The Grand Ball is basically based on the ballroom scene that started in New York in the 1980s. We've all seen Pose, I hope. It's an important show to watch.
Definitely is.
So it's part of our main inspiration was Pose and sort of the movement that the 80s brought to America in terms of trans politics, black awareness, the awareness of gender non-conforming bodies, even though they didn't have those titles back then. What Le Grand Ball basically does as an ethos is create a platform for these bodies to become explorative on a stage. Part of the main reason we give a 30-minute slot to queer artists specifically to present their work, because normally what we found is that queer artists are often seen in Germany, in Berlin, in Australia, wherever. They go overseas and they go perform for them, and we don't actually get to see them here.
Yeah.
So our main target was to give a platform for artists to show their work, and then also for the community. A very important aspect for us was visibility as a core theme, was to create a space where we are seen, appreciated, and also loved was a really important part for us. So that's the Grand Ball. It's a bi-monthly runway presentation. We are trying to create a space where the elements of Vogue, ballroom, and most importantly, houses are seen, because many of us come from broken homes, and it's only our community that can provide us spaces where we can feel like we're family.
Okay, thank you for that, Andy.
It was started in Durban. It's a bi-monthly event as well, so when we're in Joburg, 1 month, Durban, the next. But the reason why I started it was because just Durban was dry. It didn't have any spaces. Like, Durban doesn't even have a club to go to, like, at the moment. It has nothing.
Oh, wow.
So if there's only 2 events in Durban, which is Out of the Closet and Same Sex Saturday, and then there's Altitude Club, but really, who goes to Altitude? Anyways, it's just shade. No, it's not shade. It's not shade. It's not shade. It's like one of those places where you go to and there's only 2 people. Like,
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I started SSS because there was just no spaces for queer people to actually just meet each other, to even know that we all exist in Durban. We only see each other in like regular spots. So that was like the main reason for starting Same Sex Saturday. And then it moved into, it kind of got its own messaging, like as I started doing it after 4 years, like it became a space where everyone like just wanted to be at, because everyone was free and it lasts all night and it's a safe space, and like we really take pride in like the artists that come there. We take pride in like, I always say it's never about the artists, it's about the people. The people are the VIP.
Yes.
So they like, for me, it's not about necessarily, it's not about the lineup, but it's about the people that come to make that DJ be that way. You know what I mean? So whenever I like plan SSS, it's always about what kind of mood am I trying to create, and all the time it's always happiness. But in Durban, it takes more of a shape of just like a space that is there, and because there is no other space, so like I just try to like harness just safe space, a good time, freeness, and like we go as far as like calling Ubers for people and doing like the most. And then in Joburg, it's taken like a different communication or messaging, because there are so many other like queer events happening. So it's like, it just, I don't know what it's saying to me right now in Joburg. I'm still figuring it out. I've only been here for the year, so it's still new. But like thus far, it's just been like a really good, happy environment. Yeah. That's about it.
I'm
for now.
sold. I am so sold. Coco?
I work with a collective, a two-person collective, what do you call that, a duo, called Broaden a New Sound. Broaden a New Sound does a lot of the creative programming at Kitchener's down the road, and I guess I'm here particularly because of one of Broaden a New Sound's projects, which is called Pussy Party. So Pussy Party is a monthly Wednesday event that happens at Kitchener's. We call it an incubator. We call it an experiment in conscious clubbing. I suppose it sort of is a reaction to the space, which is Kitchener's. It came about, I sort of think about the first generation Pussy Party gang, which is really just people who were taking up space, who realized that with a certain amount of leverage, we can take up a little more space for people like us to also take up a little more space. So Pussy Party is something for women in the queer community, sort of trying to negotiate toxic masculinity, I would call it.
Okay, so what made you guys choose the queer community as your target audience?
Well, for me personally, I think as someone who's always identified as queer, I mean, I've been outwardly gay for the last 20 years of my life, and I've often felt othered, not only by the society at large, but by the gay community as well. I've always felt outcasted, and so the question again, sorry.
Why did you choose the queer
Why did I
community
choose
as
this
your target?
community? So I found that in spaces where it was very gay, that was still heteronormative, even though it was gay, and I didn't feel welcome in that space. So I wanted to chat specifically to a group of queers that also felt like I felt, that were femme identifying, that were strange and beautiful at the same time. And so I found that target within my community as well. Yeah.
Okay. Andy?
I don't think it was much of like a choice for me. It was just like I was sitting at Amsterdam having a beer, and I was like, oh my God, we always be at Amsterdam giving people our money. Why can't we give money to our people?
That's exactly
And
what he said,
and that's
actually.
all it is. Like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think with Pussy Party, because we're talking not just to the queer community, but also to women, I think sometimes it's become really hard to articulate like why we're putting these two groups together. And I think it comes back to that we're talking about a lived experience that the first generation was going through at Kitchener's, which is this suffering under what I would term maybe toxic masculinity. So it was that energy that was actually pushing us together. and it just made sense to align our forces.
Okay.
Can I just speak about energy for a second?
Yeah.
Because you just reminded me, Kirks, around just how in creating this space, we were talking to people who there just wasn't enough space. There were so many of our bodies wanting to party, wanting to have a good time, but not only party without an excuse or without a, I am sorry, or
Yes.
can I please get to this bathroom?
Is it okay?
Is it okay if I am? Just party without consequence or request. It was tiring being getting to places where you have to constantly ask, but you have money as well, and you are there to have a good time too. So why must I constantly ask when they are not asking?
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons why LGB was started, for example.
Oh, damn. Okay. Okay. And so please define what a safe space means for your brand or your event.
A safe space to me just means like the ability to be yourself and like be unapologetically so. And like everyone's welcoming of that space. Every single person, like from the bounce. I was lucky when I started SSS, I started with these 2 bouncers that had no idea what's in the zoo. And then now there's like 12 of them and they all just
Damn.
understand like when we run like our annual All Black edition, that's like 700 people, and like they all just understood. And again, like 700 people is not enough for 12 bouncers. There's another security company that we work for, but they also get briefed. But like we keep our main bouncers because they know the people. Like we have certain rules. Don't touch anyone. Don't sleep. Don't people aren't allowed to sleep at the party for a lot of reasons. But
Safety reasons.
safety reasons.
Yeah.
But there's like a lot of elements that you have to think of when creating a safe space. Like when, like at first there were no rules, and then I started like seeing things that were like hazards. Like hold on, like you can't sleep. Firstly, you're not safe. I don't know who your friends are. I don't know who, you know what I mean. And then it became other than that, I'm also trying to create a mood party. So if someone sleeps, it's like a domino effect. It's like if this one goes down, that one's gonna go down. That's what. Then it's a going down ripple effect. And so in creating, and it's a constant conversation. Like creating a safe space. Like you can't cover everything. There's so many things that have happened at the event. Even within like you find out like when you vetting your DJs and you're like, oh my God, the DJ, I didn't know that he was transphobic, and then you're like, oh my God, he just, you know what I mean? And so you do what you can, and then you go and you make a rule for the next one, and then you try that out, and if it works, it goes as well. So, but for me, it's a matter of like every single person that I work for or works with me needs to just understand like the rules that go into it, and understand like people are people. Like I used to get asked, like, guys used to ask me all the time at SSS, like, straight guys used to ask me, like, I want to come, but, like, are gay men going to hit on me? And I'm like, of course they are.
Oh
if
my
you're
God,
cute, they're going to hit
what a
on
damn
you.
question.
Like, but my thing was, like, uyazazi. Like, if you know yourself, people are respectful. Like, if you say, Liz, thank you for that compliment, but I don't swing that way. Thank you so much, though. People they don't bother you. Again, we're creating safe spaces. So you don't want to be in a predicament where you're pushing a situation that isn't for you. You know what I mean? Because then you're damaging everything. And then there's other like problems like, straight men come to the events because there's women and lesbians roll with women and so on. And like that's also things that you need to like think about when you are running these spaces, because women come to the event to stay away from that. So it also becomes a situation as well. Yeah, but I just think I'm learning as I go. And like creating a safe space isn't just about having 12 bouncers. It's about acknowledging the people that are there and knowing that they can also behave. So it's also their responsibility to be like, the space was created for us, and we all need to keep it safe. Like when things get lost at SSS, and I'm talking about mainly my biggest one, which is in Durban, when people lose cell phones or money, like I find like people are like, hey, someone lost 400 rand. And I'm like, listen.
That's too much honesty.
Like,
firstly.
Now I have to go into the mic and say, hi guys, someone has lost 400 rand. Who's going to be honest? But people are that honest because they're trying to keep the space healthy. You know what I mean? And I think that's important. Like, it's about who's in the space. Like I said, to me, it's about the people. And as much as I can create great quality people that come there, and I'm unapologetic, I don't want people that are not going to behave. Like I tell you, Nas, it's angfuni, it's fine.
Yes.
If you complain that it's 100 rand entry, it's not for you. Go somewhere else, it's fine. Don't worry. We'll catch you in the next one, you know what I mean? But also, there's also things like, you know, you want people to come and experience the space. So, you know, those that can't, you have to go on social media and say, let's see whether we can afford a ticket for you or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Said a lot.
A lot of good stuff there. Yeah, I think from Pussy Party's side, very soon we realized we're like, okay, you can't call this a safe space. You can't call any space a safe space. We picked up this term from a New York or Brooklyn-based collective called Puppy Juice. They said safer space. So that's what we've since gone with. Just acknowledging that, so I sent these questions, let me tell you, I sent these questions we've got a Pussy Party group, so I'm representing a couple of voices here tonight.
Okay.
And one of those voices, your Uncle Gary, had a lot of really good quotables that I want to try and feed into the conversation.
Okay.
So one of the quotables was, we're in this space for the first time. We're doing this thing for the first time. We've never lived other lives and had another pussy party where we had to face these problems that come up, as Andy said, and now we have all the answers. We're dealing now with the global recognition of certain issues for the first time, issues facing the queer community, certain minorities, and at the same time, we're dealing with the recognition of those issues in our microcosm. So Pussy Party is ongoing, it's growing, it's a journey, and if you want to get on the bus and go on this ride with us, please come with, but know that this is a journey that we're taking, you know? I haven't experienced a safe space. And that's not going to stop me from trying to visualize that utopia and trying to pull in as many other people who also want to see that so we can try and create that vision together.
Thank you for that.
I think you've really said it, Coco.
It's for me, your Uncle Gary. Those were your
Yeah,
Uncle
okay,
Gary.
yeah. Sipe's really said it,
Okay,
you know?
she said it.
She really said it. But for me, safe space needs to... We live in a society where we're pushing boundaries constantly, right? I think that just my body pushes boundaries, your body pushes boundaries, by the agenda of the queer body pushes boundaries, right? And there comes a point where there's just some basic human rules that need to be followed. And when we started the ball, our very first ball, I remember being really freaked out around claiming in something that I hadn't done. One was create this club night. Then two was claim that it's going to be safe, right? It was my first. How dare I claim safe when I don't know what I'm trying, how it's going to end up, right? And I then sat down and I'm a believer in prayer, and I pray and I burn my herbs, honey. I'm about it. And I consulted, and we now have 7 rules. The ball specifically has 7 key driving rules around how, just from a base point, even if you do not understand the definition of what a safe space means, these 7 rules are your guiding force. The very first one is masculinity. Is our very first one. And our first rule says in it that if you're coming into the space as a hetero man, please expect that you're going to be hit on. And
know how to handle
how to handle that shit. And say no. If you're not interested, say no. If you're fluid, say I'm fluid. Buy the nigger a drink. Investigate your fluidity. You know what I mean? But don't get angry when someone comes for your
compliment,
you know?
Yeah.
So the first rule is against toxic masculinity. We then also have a rule against all bathrooms being gender neutral. We have rules. I had 3 highlighted in my brain, but please go onto our page. The rules are there. The last one is specifically around access. That if you're a student or you just don't have the cash to purchase a ticket, we have a basic rule: share the information, and I'll give you a ticket. But you have to tell me that I can't afford the ticket because I'm a student or whatever the case might be. It's our 7th rule, and we've had a ton of people say, I can't afford the $100 ticket because I must still take an Uber to the club, and then I must get to the club and I must have a beer. So can you see? And we're like, you know what? There's the ticket. Please don't do this, everybody. We need
I was
the,
about to say.
we need the money to pay the DJs. We need the
nice
money to
gesture,
pay
but
the
it's not for
venue. Yeah,
everybody.
we need the money to
Yeah,
pay
yeah,
the
yeah.
people. But it is open because we're trying to extend we're trying to open the space to as many people to create this sense of what safe is. But these 7 rules are our guiding force. And to mood, you know, Andy, it really resonated what you said to me around mood, is that also when I enter that space, I really take on a role of sort of a holder of space. So when I put on the costume and I put on the makeup, it's really me saying, okay, I'm now entering a space that I'm going to hold, and I'm going to hold it till I'm normally the last person to leave, like literally with the cleaners, because I don't want to have like a story of, oh, after I left, something happened. So I really am the very last person to leave, and it's because I'm taking this reasoning around creating this space so super personally.
And the responsibility is actually very, very important. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What measures are in place to ensure your events and spaces meet those?
Because it's reactive and experimental, we're constantly changing. If a couple of months have gone by without a major policy change, we ask ourselves, you know, what's going on here? It's something that we're constantly trying to improve. So one of the measures that we have in place that we're really hoping to phase out eventually when we're ready is the secret garden. So the dance floor is reserved just for the honeys, which is women in the queer community. This last and even, I mean, there's all sorts of mixed feedback, but as we've stuck to it because it works, in the sense of within that space, there's a certain freedom that is tangible. And I mean, I would love it if the whole club was the secret garden, but for now, we're just going to work where we can work and try and extend that out, try and create that utopia we can understand what it feels like. So this last pussy party, we moved the door to the secret garden. Usually it's the one, and it was raining in the courtyard, so we're like, okay, let's try it over here. And the flow felt better somehow, like the feng shui.
Yeah.
So now we'll keep the door there for at least a couple of months and see what happens. We do a lot in the space in terms of decor. This is a Spome quotable. Kitchener's is a bar. It exists outside of Pussy Party. Pussy Party Wednesdays, Gary was saying to me the other day, they never feel like a Wednesday, they feel like a spaceship. It's a different kind of energy. And we work really hard to do that to the space with decor, with something different, so that the people who go there Sunday to Sunday walk in and know that, oh, okay, something else is happening here tonight. A certain kind of space, a certain kind of energy. Secret Garden is helpful. Our door policy, which we have the latitude to do because of the support of Kitcheners, which is free for honeys, and cis het men pay an entrance fee. That really helps. It sets a certain tone. And we've also got these laminate posters that are like these inspirational pictures of cats. And they've got these quotes.
Okay, cats.
And we've had those for maybe almost 6 months. And just now people are starting to react with them and notice them. We've also got words up on the walls. We've got consent and respect. We had be gentle, but it broke. So there's a lot of measures, and I think we're constantly reevaluating. As Andy said, you constantly reevaluate. As Trey mentioned with these rules, you constantly put something in place. And you can kind of only do that once something has gone wrong, or you started to see something
That's
go
a
wrong.
learning curve, yeah.
So I think some of those are the measures in place. We call ourselves an experiment, and I think trying to stay open to conversation around the space and what the shortcomings are is a really important part of that.
I think what Pussy Potty's done really well is from the minute you walk in, the laminated signs with the actual like the ethos of the event, where even at the door, you know, to the dance floor, to the secret garden, it says this is for honeys and why it's for honeys, you know, and you can't argue with the reasoning of why it's for honeys, you know, and you
It's
get
already
in there,
there.
you feel like a honey. So I fleek you for
Thank
for
you.
that.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. And then, how do you guys handle negative feedback from your sponsors? And how transparent are you guys usually with them?
We cancel them.
Okay, straight up.
Yeah. So no, I'm going to be honest and say that I'd like to create spaces and create the event space to become my primary source of income at some point.
Okay.
I'd like to create, like, I don't want this to be a side hustle. It's not a thing for me. I want it to become my main hustle. And so sponsors are a key thing because they bring dollar.
Of course.
And we all need the dollars. And the one thing for us is that you need to know where we're going to with our messaging. So the Grand Ball specifically can be quite cheeky. The last ball was a cheeky ball with our fetish theme.
Oh, I enjoyed that.
That was good, honey. That was cute.
Oh, I enjoyed that.
was
Yes,
So, and we'll continue pushing those boundaries in terms of themes, you know. But we got lots of sponsors saying that this is too risky for us, and we're like, if it's too risky for you, then you're not in it now. But please note that we're not always going to be risky. That there's going to be the next one, which is safe. So please get involved in the next one, because that's the thing. So I think that in finding sponsors who, one, must understand your ethos, must understand where you're trying to place yourself and what change you're trying to do, that you're trying to really create a space that pushes the boundaries of social change, how we see each other and ourselves. And when I say we, I don't mean the community, I mean the extended social sphere, right? And if you want to sell to the extended social sphere or sell to us, then you must understand us. And there's always a space. It might not be now, but it will be the next one or the next one. So yeah.
Okay.
Sponsors. So in Durban, I got sponsored by a municipality. They're a great sponsor. They just pay late, but they're amazing. And luckily enough, they like understood exactly what we're doing. But what I found with sponsors is that like they've complained about the name, having sex in the name, and I'm just like, it's just. And then we moved the logo from Same Sex Saturday to just SSS with the block, because we're trying to get these sponsors. But just more than like sponsors being negative about the event, because now they're jumping onto the whole queer thing. So, but I feel like negativity as a whole in terms of events, like people who complain that the bar was too slow or this and that or this happened. And I just think the easiest thing to do is like take feedback, but also understand like people complain. Even once you've given, like you can give someone the best of the best, they will find something that, I don't know, I always tell people like, I've cried in a lot of SSSs, like secretly, like, no. Dad. I'll be like, Dad, cry. No, but it's because when I started, I'm still a one-man team, kind of, so... Yeah, I'm still a one-man team, actually. But when I started it started with 28 people, and I remember I'd like bought alcohol for like 26K, and we were paying the DJs like 5,000 an hour. It was just like I hadn't done my research properly. I was just like, let's go. And my mom was supportive, and it was great. And then 28 people popped up, but it was like, when I look at it, it was the best 28 people. Like, it was such a good time. Excuse the loss, but it was an amazing, yeah, it was. I mean, when you don't have sponsors, you're still gonna spend your money. I still spend my money and I still cry because of it. Like I remember losing 45K and I didn't know. Wow. Like I had no concept of why, and then when I started looking back, was like, you're paying the artists too much, all of these things that were happening without. I had not even done an event. I was a copywriter before eventing, so it was a completely different world to me. And so when I take negative feedback, even now, like when I haven't made profit and we've broken even just to do the things with the parts, again, don't have sponsors coming from my money, need to pay the DJs, need to pay the venue. And you just sit there and you say, it was such a great party. That's all, like who had fun? Majority of the people had fun. Who's complaining? Okay, they complain about this, and that. Okay, we're gonna change it the next time. Who, you know what I mean? Just look at it and you just try your best not to be depressed about it. And everything's fine. Like, negativity will always happen when progression happens. Like people don't like come-ups. It's like a thing. Like you know what I mean? People are jealous. They've got all the people are fickle. So you need to understand like who you're dealing with and how you're gonna deal with them. Honor the people that are there and continuously having. I don't know how many times SSS has been rained on, like rain, like, and it's an open event and people are just like, Andy, open the bar. It's fine. The rain stops, we continue, and we party till 4 as if it never happened. And it's because one, people understand the space that we're trying to create, and 2, people are like loyal. Durban people are very loyal. I'm still learning Joburg people, but Durban people are loyal.
They tricky. They tricky.
I don't know. I'm still learning.
They tricky.
Everyone I know that in Joburg is loyal, okay? But like so far, I just feel like when you have created such a healthy, good space, people like hold it down. I'm still preaching like this people story to people.
Before you jump in, Rose, and the breaking even thing, because I don't think and I mean, Rose, you could even say, I don't think in talking to numerous event organizers, no one has said that they've like walked away and said, hey, I made some cash. Let me go.
When you've got a good sponsor, yes. Like when when the city has sponsored it, you're like, yes.
Yeah,
thank
but
you,
I mean,
I'm winning,
it still doesn't pay for every
yeah.
single thing. You know what I mean? You've got a DJ
that's
to
true.
pay, you've got
That's
a venue
true,
to
yeah.
pay, you've got a thing to
Yeah,
pay.
yeah.
We've broken even on 3 events. Like we've just luckily broken even.
Like you just made
We went
it.
for one breakfast.
You went out for lunch.
Oh, yeah, we went out for lunch, man. We went out for lunch. And we're like, yes, we're gonna pay the lunch. That's what I do. I do it every Sunday. I just go out for lunch.
The little victories, cuz.
Yep. So I wanted to bring up this thing. I was wondering where was the moment. I think there's a lot of unpaid, inexperienced emotional labor that goes into events in general, but particularly this kind of event where we really want to make the space as safe as possible, where we really want to allow communities who haven't always been allowed to party freely to party freely. So I think that's something that, it helps if we, as right now in Joburg, there's a nice scene of queer event organizers. We can at least emotionally support each other. So on feedback, I've got a Your Uncle Gary quotable. Does someone have hashtag?
I see Uncle Gary as a plug here. Go for
Gary
it.
came through with these voice notes. We were like, I was typing out those voice notes. So
Uncle Gary just prepped you for the night.
I mean,
didn't
if you
she?
follow Uncle Gary on Facebook, that's Zuckerberg should pay Gary. Gary is the only thing worth seeing on Facebook. So feedback is someone else's experience. So boxing feedback as negative or positive means you're attaching your feelings to someone else's experience. So this is a person who might look or exist in a completely differently to you. So they're really just giving you their side of the story. So I think that's been a bit of a guiding light for us with Pussy Party. Constantly we need to hear from people. That's the only way we're gonna figure out the ways that things can get better. Things need to go badly for us to make the rules that they go better next time. So negative feedback, we'll take it all,
Yeah.
We'll always listen. With a little bit of emotional protection for our hearts. Like we don't want to cry. I now luckily have
We already know your story.
I have a beautiful team with Pussy Party at the moment, which is your Uncle Gary, our photographer Lexi Roussos, and Sinoa, Cici the dancer. as well as Khonse Fetstoki, who's one of the founders. And I have to say, now that I have a team really like makes all the difference. And I look forward to you finding your team. And I look forward to working with you in the meantime.
I just actually worked with Coco. I call you Colleen all the time, but I just worked with Coco for Pussy Party and Same Sex, the collaboration. And it was effortless, like working with Colleen. It was simple. It was like, okay, we designing this, you taking this, and that. It was simple. It was day of, no one complained. It was actually like seamless, like, you know what I mean? Communication was open. So, and I've tried, like I've had teams, I've had meetings with people that are like, hi, I want to jump. And it's like, okay. I just chill. I always tell people, like, for me, it's not about you coming and having a meeting with me. It's you looking at something I'm doing and saying, I can offer this, and then you hand it. You go, hey, this is what I've done for this, because that's what I would do. You know what I mean? So, and I've tried to work with people. People are 9 to 5ing. I left a 9 to 5 and my life in Durban to try and hustle it out in Joburg with SSS, and I might be going back to the 9 to 5. I don't know, but you know.
See how it goes. Yes, this was actually regarding your brand and event. Like, how do you guys handle that?
Because negativity, right? And it's something I really think the community could work on, right? Is that because you're putting yourself. I think each and every one of us are putting ourselves out there and trying to do something, right? When you're getting, and I don't want to say comments are stupid because people's things. Your feelings are your feelings, right? But there's unnecessary things, There are there's necessary feedback and there's unnecessary feedback. I'm not even going to touch on the unnecessary feedback because they know that when it's unnecessary. When a line is long, what must I do about the line? There are people that are coming in. I can't do anything. I'm not CompuTicket. I can't have 6 lines. Like, hello. And then there's necessary negative. There's experiences where people saying, like I got a DM while pushing the last event where someone had said, I felt like there was a lot of fat phobia at the last event, right? And I then spoke to that person, give me your fucking number, let's have a conversation and understand how you felt targeted. So that's the feedback. The experience is negative, but for me, the feedback is positive, right? So when you're trying to create that space, when someone can tell you that, oops, there's a mistake there, figure it out, right? So at our last event, there was a little. We actually said fats, femmes, welcome. We tried to change that because fat phobic, as put the word fat into your communication, so that it's just to reinforce the fact that this is a very open space and you'll find people in different genders and bodies, etc. We're just all here for a nice time. So negative and good negative feedback and bad negative feedback.
Okay. Andy?
I think like how I still work alone with Same Sex Saturday. I just currently I'm working with a new guy, Frank, in Durban. But how I just feel like maybe I've got an attitude of just like, listen, it's gonna happen. Let's do what we can. Let's fix what we can. And if we can't fix it, you get onto the phone. You're like, yes, I could not fix the fact that I remember planning an SSS. There were I planned 150 people. It was for the all black edition. I'm lying. There was I planned for 300 people. Marquee, stage, everything. Turns out 500 and something people came. I had not. It was my wildest. I went to the setup the whole day and it looked great during the day, and then I went home, came back, it looked like a concert. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Oh my God, this is a lot. It was I freaked out like immediately. Then there were police. I had not like I learned things along the way, like liquor licensing, permits, event insurance. You have to like have insurance for everyone that gets to the party in case they don't have insurance. So you have to you learn a lot of things, and then you go, do I want to drop this concept because I don't have the money for it? And then you go, no. So I just learn as I go. Like I am just taking it all in and saying, what can I change? What can I not? And then I just move on. But negativity, I had to learn like quickly. Like just take it, fix it. If you can't, say sorry, move on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think actually, I jokingly said at least we can emotionally support each other, but I think it is, you take on a lot of like hectic experiences as someone who's been working in a nightclub for the best part of the last 10 years. We take on a lot of drama and a lot of nonsense. A lot of people have issues that they haven't dealt with, have traumas that we haven't properly worked out. And the night does become a space where not only you can cleanse those in positive ways, but also, drama comes up, really negative stuff comes up. A lot of us have been through our own traumas, and sometimes in our own spaces we're triggered. So I just wanted to say, hey guys, we should just keep talking. It's just really important for us also to look after our emotional health. This whole thing is about, safe spaces is a lot about, so I like the origin of that word safe space that comes from group talk therapy. And I think it's this is a really important space tonight, that we're talking about things. I really love that we're sharing not just from event organizers, but from performers and also attendees. Sharing these experiences and unpacking them outside of the heat of the moment as much as we love the heat.
Okay, and then how do you guys navigate problematic heteronormativity, in attendance at the event?
I think we need to first realize that heteronormativity lives in, I'm going to say in all of us, because we were grown up in
bred,
heteronormativity.
yes.
Right? So we can all be pretty hetero, right? For me, because the event is specifically targeted towards the femme-othered body, the GNC, the trans body, because that's specifically our target. It's just not allowed, to be honest. Like, we've got Lebu, the big lesbian bouncer, at the front. Like, she's our girl. And I've partied with her since I was 19, probably.
Oh, wow.
And she's just like, if you look at Lebu, for example, Lebu you just don't fuck with Lebu, right? And so when you come in, they don't be hetero, because we've got someone who can be just as hetero as your hetero-ness at the door. So we really just try and make sure that everybody understands that the space is targeted to not hetero. It's targeted to feminist, to being extra. You're going to see some naked people. You're going to see some short skirts. You're going to see a dick print. Like, relax. What's about right? Yeah.
I've got a Spumé quotable, a Gary quotable, which was around, so obviously at Pussy Party, we're not working in an exclusive space. We're working in a space that's, it's a space that's used every day, used by all sorts of people. So at Pussy Party, some of us are there for Pussy Party. Some people are just at Kitchener's. They're just out there in Brom. All kinds of people. And Kitchener's has always been particularly used by people from a lot of different walks of life. So we're not only talking to the queer community, we're not only talking to women, we also need to talk to the cis hetero community and find ways to, get them to also care about our agenda. Spumé had put it as, we're all here to learn. We're definitely putting our focus on this particular group, but we're all unlearning a lot of toxic behavior. And that's a very soft, there's a soft, subtle change that we're trying to put around people to impact their daily lives. We're at the party, we're very softly carrying people through the paces of, this is what a safer space looks like for us.
And what is your view on the well-deserved recognition that the queer community is only receiving now?
Okay, I think it's well deserved, but I also feel like we need to be careful with the fact that like it's starting to feel like a trend, right? So people are jumping on that bus. I mean, we've been great forever. Like we've been like what I mean. Fashion designers have been doing things. Events organizers have been doing. Like we've been in the corporate offices. Like you know what I mean. So to just sit there and be like, oh, only now because no, half like incomes that are made in companies are done by queer people. If they had to leave, they'd be like, you know what I mean? So I feel like it's well deserved, but I'm very careful in terms of like, even like when I think of like what sponsors I want. Right now, I feel like I'm a sponsor whore because like I'm just like sharp. I need the cash, but like at the same time, it's like I will look at it. If I don't stand for what that sponsor stands for, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, okay, cool. I'm gonna take your money.
Yeah.
No, it's not about that. And I also just go back to the heteronormative question. I feel like we also need to understand, like, within our characters, there's ways in which we handle people, and like there's been things that have been on like the Twitter list or all these things that have popped up in the last 2-3 months. And like I remember I was away, I was in Uganda with Colleen, and that list popped up, and then there was a queer list, and I was like, oh my God, you know what I mean? And then you realize that people like, again, it goes back to people's behavior. Do you know what I mean? We all have a form of heteronormativity within us, but it's how we respect other people, it's how we behave, and I think that's also important to also just understand it's not necessarily just one, just like the whole other.
Yeah.
It's also within us as well, and we need to be responsible for that as well, because when we're hitting on a woman and we're just like, but it's me, no, you've entered into a space that is wrong. Yeah, you know what I mean. So I think that's also very important. Yeah.
Do you want to add something? Sure.
I want to say something around like the normalization of what used to be a subculture, because we used to be a subculture, right? And the normalization of this culture is one, extremely important, and we have to ride the wave now of popularity. So thank you, RuPaul. You know what I'm saying? Like, thank you, Drag Race. Thank you, Queer Eye for Straight Man. Thank you,
Paris is Burning.
Paris is Burning. You know what I mean? It's thank
I kissed a girl
you.
and I liked it. Thank you.
Thank you, I Kissed a Girl and I Liked It. Absolutely. Thank you for the movement of pop bringing my identity, which is pretty normal to me and not a subculture, to the fore so that it becomes popular. And when it normalizes, the only people I'm really going to be hanging out in my safe space with are the people who are there, my real ride or dies, my community, not the ones who are here for the fad
Catching the
or
wave, yeah.
whatever. I'm going to be dancing with the real people, and that's and the time that we're in now with popularity allows people like us and every other event organizer it gives us an opportunity to say, because I mean, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we couldn't have seen a little nudge. It would have taken us much longer to create this than it has now. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think it's super important, but it will disappear. But let it, because that's the natural course of where culture is going to go.
Okay. Come on.
Yeah, let me just add on that Pussy Party has a policy like always get the bag. Never don't, get paid because that person doesn't really have your bag. Take the money, have your own bag.
And move on. And how do you guys navigate corporate South Africa's involvement into the queer spaces?
For me, it's really about where do they stand, right? So what is so for example, I always plug this sponsor specifically, Nike. When I went after Nike, I was looking at, when I started the ball, we had one sponsor, which I'm not going to name because no plug for you. We had the sponsor and they paid for the entire event, but it was during American Pride Month. And they had a shoe that they wanted to sell, and they were like, yes, let's do this. And we're like, we're going to do this. And then that was where we felt that there was a need for this thing to happen constantly. We went back to them and like, that was great, right? There were 800 people. So please, we have like more money to like run the next one? And they said, no, they don't have the cash. We then went to Nike, and Nike said, look, we've got very little money, but this is what we want to support, and we want to support it in a long term. So how about we give you little bursts of cash? So small money for a longer time rather than pay for one single event which doesn't run with your longevity. So we looked at creative. We like to partner with sponsors who aren't in it for the now, the immediacy, one-off partners. We don't want sponsors. We want partners. We really want partners. We really don't want sponsors. We want people who's going to partner with us and help us grow as a brand.
And fully understand
because
it.
there's so much more that I personally, and I know the people I work with, want to do with Le Grand Ball. There's so many other springs of eventing we can do within this one base of communication.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I feel the same.
Okay.
Corporates don't want to touch something called pussy. Pussy party.
Too
so-
personal.
I don't know.
Okay, guys, and in closing, what can we expect from your brand or event within the next decade?
Well, a decade is a long time. I'm going to speak to. I'm going to speak to the next probably 2 years.
Okay.
So I'm going to unashamedly plug now, ne? So we've got 2 more balls for the year. Firstly,
Okay.
yeah. We started the strategy a while ago. We were looking for Joburg houses, and our ideology was to get to Afropunk this year and do our big championship ball in the Afropunk stage, where the houses who had won each of our little, let's call them activations, because in the corporate way, that's how you say, I'm an activation and you're the event. So in our little activations, we've identified houses within that, and the winners of these are all going to go walk on the Afropunk stage, because we wanted this to be sort of super mainstream. Because once we got to the mainstream stage, we knew that there's legs in next year to become monthly. We knew that there's going to be legs to expand into Soweto. So we're really looking for a Soweto house. We're deeply looking for an East Rand house, because everybody that's been involved have been super inner city Joburg. So we're really trying to outskirt. You're definitely gonna see. Andy, you just made me realize I'm coming to Durban, bro. Well, you're definitely gonna see a Durban LGB. In next year, we for our houses, we really want to get some people from Joburg, so the houses, so whether it's Rev, Diamonds, Bronze, whoever it might be, we want to get some houses, some international exposure, so get them to America. We want to understand ball culture more deeply, and we want to expand the South African footprint on movement and freedom to dance through our event.
So Andy and I are doing another collaboration. Our now annual New Year's Day collaboration. So when you get to New Year's Eve and it just doesn't quite hit the spot, come to New Year's Day. So it's an RSVP only event. Our DMs are open. We'll have some more info dropping soon. End of Jan, I think Pussy Party will be in Cape Town. March, we should be in Durban.
Coco.
And then,
Mandima and I are also planning a New Year's Day event. So how about the 4 of us just
Get
make
together.
one massive New Year's Day event?
Oh, guys, the amount of FOMO.
Let's talk about it after. Yeah, we need to talk.
Okay.
And otherwise, Pussy Party will just be keeping it down monthly and as many other little pop-ups as we can. You said the next decade. Oh man, my dream would be that you don't even need Pussy Party. Everyone's fine. we're even.
Oh, yay. Okay.
Yeah. I think for me, in the next 5 years, I mean, we've done Same-Sex Saturday in New York twice, and it's been amazing. And my thing is like, I really love cross communication, and like, I really want to bring New York vibes to South Africa. And so we've been working with, I know a lot of organizations that side, and I've made a really great base of friends, DJs, events organizers. So that's one of my dreams. But also for me, it's like, if anyone knows like an event called Dinah Shore, it's like this huge event that happens in the Palm Springs. And it's like for a whole weekend, it's like an island of queerness. And like, that is like where I definitely want to take Same-Sex Saturday one day, where it's just like, we've overtaken a town. Sorry, we don't know what the town is, but for the weekend, here we are, you know what I mean? But also more than that, I just think for me, I want SSS to start being very conceptual. Like if we're doing a Garden of Eden, we've done a lot of themes, Garden of Eden, we've done forbidden fruits, and like, it's all well and good for like people to dress up and look great, but like to push production on like another level, where it's like House of Yes, and going back to one of my inspirations, House of Yes in New York, where it's just like ballerinas everywhere and people in the ceiling and like all this crazy stuff. Because again, like I'm an event production manager, freelance work, and like that's what I love. I love production, and I just don't feel like at this moment I've hit the things. So in the next 5 years, hell yeah, I want to hit the things.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on stage. Good luck with your future endeavors and have a great night further.